All right, it is the top of the hour, so I want to be respectful of your time and go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here this evening. My name is Olivia Oster, and I'm the Giving and Operations Manager here at Wings for Widows. I joined the team about 2.5 years ago as my passion is working with nonprofit organizations. Although I am not a widow myself, the mission of Wings for Widows resonates with me deeply. 5 years ago this month, I lost my mom to early onset dementia. And as the eldest child, I felt it was my responsibility to assist my dad with all of the widower tasks that came with our family's loss. And let me tell you, it was not easy. I saw firsthand just how vital the programs, services, education, and resources Wings for Widows provides are to the widowed population. So, with that, tonight is about saying thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here with us this evening. Tonight's first ever Donor Connect event is not about asking for donations. No, we've gathered you here this evening as a means of saying thank you for being a part of our loyal donor base, as well as a community of folks who believe in our mission. We would like to take this opportunity to share with you our why and how our dollars, your dollars, have made a positive impact in the lives of many widows and widowers from the perspective of our volunteer coaches. And we also have a special message from a Wings for Widows board member and widow, Joe Nelson. And we will be sharing ways in which you can deepen your impact beyond a financial gift. Finally, we are so excited to have the 2023 through 2025 Wings for Widows Champions Circle Award recipient, Lexi Schnurr, creator of the Beyond the Grief mission, here with us tonight, followed by closing remarks. If anyone has any questions come up during the presentation, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A or chat, and we will address them at the end. So if this agenda sounds good with you, it is my honor to introduce the founder and executive director of Wings for Widows, Chris Bentley. Chris, whose career spans roles as a veteran, entrepreneur, retired financial advisor, author, educator, speaker, and unwavering advocate for the widowed, was moved by the struggles faced by those who had lost a spouse. Driven by a deep sense of purpose and armed with expertise and empathy, Chris embarked on a mission to help and support. In 2017, his vision took flight with the creation of Wings for Widows. Through Chris's leadership, Wings for Widows addresses the immediate needs of the widowed community, but also fosters a broader understanding and appreciation for the unique challenges that they face. Here to share more about the why behind our work, please welcome Chris Bentley.
Thank you, Olivia. That was a wonderful introduction. My gosh, I'm blushing. Good evening and welcome, everyone. I would like to take a moment to thank you. I want you to know that because of your support, a recently widowed woman in rural Montana who felt utterly alone and overwhelmed by a mountain of paperwork she didn't understand, was able to connect with a financial coach face-to-face over video this week. She didn't have to travel. She didn't have to pay a cent. She just had to reach out. And because of you, we were there. You made that moment of relief possible. You helped us scale our compassion. So thank you. And I am so honored to be the executive director of Wings for Widows. You know, we exist because that woman's story happens 3,000 times every single day in America. A widow, every 30 seconds, a widower about every 2 minutes. That's almost 1.5 million people every year who lose their life partner. And in the midst of that profound grief, they are thrown into a financial crisis most are entirely unprepared for. You know, most couple, I don't know about you, but most couples don't talk about money. I know when folks would come in, clients would come in to see me when I had my investment advisory practice. I was usually the husbands, right? I really had to fight to get both of them to come in and visit with me. So typically, one person handles the finances. And when the financially savvy spouse passes away, the survivor is left virtually stranded, often unsure of passwords, account numbers, or even how much money they have. They're drowning in unfamiliar documents, forced to make huge financial decisions they've never had to make before, all while their world has been turned upside down. When we started, we helped people one-on-one in a shared office space in Minneapolis. It was powerful, it was personal, but it was truly, utterly impossible to scale to meet that need of 3,000 people a day. Your support enabled us to ask a different, bolder question. What if we could retain everything that makes one-on-one coaching so powerful while eliminating everything that limits its reach? The answer is our technology with heart vision, which you have brought to life and you'll hear about tonight. This isn't about replacing human judgment or connection. It's the exact opposite. It's about using technology to buy our coaches more time for what truly matters, which is being present with someone in crisis who desperately needs financial advice and guidance. Let me give you a concrete example of your gift at work. For our WidowWise University education platform, we required a library of 60 educational videos that covered a wide range of topics, from insurance to retirement accounts, investments to Social Security benefits. A year ago, a professional firm quoted us to begin with $70,000 to produce them. I'm sure it would have gone much higher. But instead, thanks to your investment in us and your investment in innovation, we used an AI video creation tool called Synthesia to create all 60 videos for $700, the cost of an annual subscription. You saved this organization $69,300. This is the power of your investment. This is money now being used to invest in more technology to serve more people in crisis effectively and efficiently. Every piece of technology you help us implement, from Monday CRM to Webflow to the secure platform that allows a coach to meet a client 2,000 miles away, is chosen for one reason: to amplify our heart. Technology with a heart. It allows us to take what worked in that small Minneapolis office all those years ago and make it available today to anyone, anywhere who needs it. So next, we want to take you to the front lines of that work. You're about to hear from two of our incredible coaches. These are the people who are delivering the guidance and hope that you make possible. They'll be sharing their stories of the heartwarming transformations that they witness with their clients.
Hello, my name is Otto Rivera. I live in Orlando, Florida. I am a full-time financial planner, a certified financial planner and practitioner, and also a tax professional and enrolled agent. I live in Orlando, Florida, and I love it here. Didi, she's up in Tennessee, and very young widow, not even 40 years old, lost her husband, her beloved husband, with 3 kids under the age of 11. Terrible situation, very difficult, challenging situation. I worked with her about 6 months. It was a prolonged engagement because there was layers and layers of things we needed to work on. And thank God, Wings for Widows gave me the flexibility to work in a prolonged manner with her, helped her to claim all the inheritance that she was entitled to and her kids were entitled to, helped her with savings, her budget, her short-term and long-term planning for herself, for the boys. We also had a very close friend of hers that was in many of the calls, just supporting her, and I worked with him also. He was a little bit more knowledgeable about investments and all that helped clarify many concepts to her. But we were both believers also, so I think we did connect in that regard from the get-go. And I think that with all the calls that we had, more than 10 calls that we had, email communications, the deep conversations that we had, and just reviewing options for her, I was always there for her as much as I could. And I think she appreciated it a lot, and everything was clarified. And she came out of the engagement with a lot of clarity, with encouragement about the future, with a sense of security, of peace, so she can, move on in life and keep working with her 3 boys and make them men and have a great future, even with such a tragic situation. It was a great experience for me. I do cherish it, and my best experience here in Wings for Widows.
I'm Claudia Rivers, and I am located here in Centennial, Colorado. I've been with Wings for Widows since the first of the year, January of 2025, and it's been a wonderful experience. So my first client with Wings for Widows was Cara, and Cara was such an incredible experience for me to begin this journey with Wings for Widows. Cara, when I first met her, I went to her home, and she was immediately just very welcoming. And in the center of her living room, she had this full display of her husband who recently passed away, Andrew. I felt honored. I felt honored that she invited me into her home and that she shared with me the person who, had just passed and she loved so dearly, and he was only 55 years old. So I could just see the devastation. And that's where our emotional journey started with. Cara and I connected immediately. And again, this was my first experience with Wings for Widows, and I had gone through all of the coursework. And I love that as a CFP in practice for over 20 years, I love that part of the program was structured in a way that it brought the financial planning aspect together with the emotional human-centric aspect of comprehensive planning. And so that's what I loved about the program. And that's kind of where Cara and I started our discussion. The reason she contacted me was because she was on the Experian website, and she was there to protect her husband, her deceased husband's identity. And that was something that she taught me about. And that's, again, something about this program. I feel like I'm also learning a lot about an area that I wasn't as familiar with. And so she was there protecting her husband's identity. And so she reached out to me because she was concerned about making sure that her assets were okay. And then she also had inherited life insurance. So she wanted to make sure that she put her money to work. And so that was the catalyst for her reaching out to Wings for Widows. So those were kind of our hot buttons, so to speak. And that's how we started our journey. But there were other things that we uncovered that I don't think she realized were weighing on her. So because she was organized, we were able to go through the financial planning process very quickly. So after the first meeting and gathering all the pertinent information and what was on her mind, her goals, what she envisioned for herself and her future. The second meeting was where I was able to, make the magic work. I was able to present to her a comprehensive financial snapshot of where she was. We went through all different areas of planning. We went through estate planning. We went through her insurance planning, her retirement planning projections. And by the end of that second meeting, I noticed a transformation already in Cara. One of the things where I really lit up because I could see the relief melt away, I should say, was the financial planning projections, the cash flow of what her future self looked like. That was the thing she didn't know, because since her husband was managing the majority of the assets, she didn't know if she would outlive her assets. And so there was a lot of, uncertainty and doubt now that she was standing on her own 2 feet as to whether this money was going to last. Did she need to go get another job? She was just trying to figure out all of these things. And when I did the cash flow, I said, Cara, you're going to be okay. Your money's going to last. And I said, but if we make the adjustments that I'm going to recommend as a result of looking at everything, your money will last well into your 90s. And that's when all of the stress melted away and you could see the visual relief. And that, at that moment, I felt so proud of myself for being a part of this positive impact on her life. So that's kind of it in a nutshell of our experience. And that's the kind of help that an advisor actually brings to a real life experience.
Those 2 stories from our coaches, I don't know about you, pretty powerful. They are the how, the expert, compassionate method we use to intervene as first responders, coaches helping clients in crisis. But to understand the why their work is so desperately needed, we went directly to our widowed clients. Since 2022, we've been collecting data, asking over 1,400 widowed people a lot of questions, but 5 key questions to assess their level of financial crisis. And the data paints a stark picture. The findings were staggering and pointed to a clear conclusion. The financial devastation of widowhood is not random. It is a predictable and therefore preventable crisis. So the good news is that it is predictable. The bad news is that so few people take the time to prepare for this eventuality, for this event. The single most critical vulnerability we found across the board was the lack of a financial safety net, a simple cash reserve for emergencies. This leaves the majority of people highly vulnerable to financial shocks. This vulnerability is compounded by the fact that they are facing this shock under the worst possible circumstances. We know from decades of research that losing a spouse is ranked as the single most stressful event a person can endure. It's 100 out of 100. Divorce is number 2. 91% experience widow fog or widow brain, which is a debilitating condition that can last for up to 2 years. It's a physiological response to traumatic loss. Think of it as brain overload. Cognitive impairment includes memory loss, a lack of concentration, an inability to focus, feeling mentally slow, confusion, the inability to process simple information, sleeplessness, and even nausea. So just when they need to make hundreds of decisions, their ability to do so is most compromised. And on top of unimaginable stress and this cognitive impairment, they face an immediate financial shockwave. Half of all widows see their household income plummet by 50% or more almost overnight. And this leads to the most devastating finding of all. For 80% of widows who are now living in poverty, their financial crisis began the day they lost their husbands. This isn't a pre-existing condition. Widowhood was the driver, is the driver. Widowhood. Our research revealed 3 distinct groups of widowed individuals. The first group, just 14% in our study, are financially stable. But the overwhelming majority, 86% of the people who come to us, are in a state of financial crisis. They are either in crisis, that means unable to meet basic needs right now, or in the vulnerable middle, meaning that just one expected car repair or medical bill could push them over the edge. Our research aligns with a larger study conducted in February of 2018 by Merrill Lynch in partnership with AgeWay. They found that 86% of widows had never made a financial decision before their loss and are therefore making them in the early days, weeks, and months of widowhood. Those numbers are identical and are highly correlated. And for more than half of them, 51%, they are not going through this alone. They are what we call solo parents, trying to navigate their own grief while being the stable guiding force for a grieving child or children. Our research shows that this group is in more distress than any other group. It's almost an impossible situation. That is why your support allows us to build a dedicated solo parent resource hub. It's a lifeline packed with articles and guidance and connections to experts, all designed to support the entire family. You know, a lot of numbers, but it should be clear, this isn't just a difficult transition. This is a 5-alarm fire for so many. And in a fire, you don't need a support group. You need a first responder. You need an experienced professional. You need Wings for Widows. And that's the role our coaches play. They are the financial first responders that we send into the crisis. And your support of our Technology with Heart model is what makes their rescue mission possible on a national scale. Technology helps us find them. Through tools like the Google Ad Grant, we are there with a message of hope at the exact moment someone searches for help. Technology helps us connect with them. Secure video conferencing allows our coaches to meet face-to-face with a grieving person in rural Alaska from their office in Dallas, Texas, providing that essential human connection and guidance. And technology helps us equip them. Our WidowWise University and digital resources give them the tools for self-sufficiency. For so many, this is the key that moves them from that vulnerable middle to stability. It's that 3 a.m. lifeline that a short video about Social Security and the benefits that are awaiting them can provide, for example. Because of this model that you have funded, we are not just helping people cope, we are fundamentally changing their trajectory. And that's why we say when life changes, we help change lives. We are giving them the tools, the plan, and the confidence to move from a state of crisis to a future of stability and renewal. It's the ultimate impact of your gift. Let's listen to Coach Grant Meyer, our 2022 Financial Coach of the Year.
My name is Grant Meyer, and I am the founder of TrueMix Advisors, and I've been a financial advisor for 16 years now, and I volunteer with Wings for Widows since 2020. When we meet with widows for the first time, they're in crisis, they're trying to figure out some big problem, and on top of that, they just lost their partner that they've been with for sometimes decades. They may have a child with, and it's you're meeting them in a very vulnerable situation. And the piece that is common throughout all is that when we coach through the full 4 sessions and help them with their big burning questions and then take them through the coaching process to see the transformation from start to end is just really impactful, meaningful, and hearing over and over again from different people how you've been able to solve problems for them when they're going through the worst thing in their entire lives has really been meaningful and stuck out to me over the years. So as a volunteer coach with Wings for Widows, we're somewhat like an emergency first responder, and it's so important that we get coaching early on in that process, because when you are a widow, there are so many different unique financial things that come up that well-intentioned people may be trying to give you advice around, but they may just unfortunately be giving you bad advice. For instance, I had one client who got a small life insurance settlement, and she had debt with the IRS and an unsecured credit card only in the husband's name. And she was given the advice to pay off the high interest rate credit card, which on the surface may make sense. But when you understand working with widows and the special financial decisions that you can make when somebody's passed away, credit cards are unsecured debt. That debt didn't necessarily have to be paid back versus the IRS debt does. The correct decision would have been to pay off the IRS debt, but she was informed to pay off the credit card debt. She did that before coming to Wings for Widows, and that was a tens of thousands of dollars mistake because she received bad advice early on in the process. And so working with somebody who understands how these different financial instruments work when dealing with death is extremely important, so that way you can intervene and really make an impact early on. Impactful story that comes to mind was this widow named Sarah. And Sarah is just, she's fantastic. But in her financial life, she really wasn't involved. And she came across her husband who had a heart attack in their kitchen. It was extremely disturbing for her to find her loved one, her spouse there, and he had managed their entire financial picture. And when she came to us, she didn't understand what they had as far as investments, life insurance, income, expenses. She didn't know if they could stay in the home, and she had 3 young kids. And we were able to work together, and we first started by documenting her basic cash flow, what expenses are coming in. Some bills were paper, some were electronic. We started to document her income, and we also took a look at her investments, her portfolio. She had no idea how much money they had, where it was, what type of accounts. And also she was extremely conservative. She didn't like risk. Come to find out, her husband had put all of their money in small cap stocks, which, if you know anything about investing, is extremely aggressive. And that was a big surprise to her. She didn't know that. And so really worked through the building blocks of creating an emergency fund, understanding cash flow, getting her portfolio aligned, getting her connected with Social Security, getting benefits for the minor kids. And because of all that work, she felt way more confident in her finances. She was able to stay in her home. She had enough income coming in from where she was at in life with the Social Security benefits from her minor kids and her portfolio, where she could live comfortably and be okay. And the amount of relief she had and certainty around her finances by the end of the coaching process was just night and day difference. And I will forever remember her and working with her.
Hello, good evening. My name is Jo Nelson, as Chris just said, and I have the honor of serving on the board for Wings for Widows. I've been a widow myself and was a Wings for Widows client. Like many of you, I was drawn to this mission through a personal connection. I experienced how the loss of a spouse can create not just emotional devastation, but a level of financial chaos that is simply overwhelming. I knew I had to be a part of the solution. I chose to invest my time and resources here on this board because I believe deeply and completely in the focused, compassionate, and effective work that this organization does. Tonight, you've heard from Chris about our technology with a heart vision, and you've seen the impact through the powerful stories from our coaches. My role here this evening is to speak on behalf of the entire board of directors and offer a different perspective, the view from 30,000 feet. As a board, it is our fiduciary duty to ensure Wings for Widows is a responsible steward of every single dollar it receives. We review the financials, we approve the budgets, we challenge the strategies, and I am here to tell you with the utmost confidence that your investment is being managed with integrity, efficiency, and an unwavering focus on the mission. When we see a proposal like the one that saved nearly $70,000 on video production, it's not just a line item on a spreadsheet for us. It is proof of a culture of innovation and responsibility. It is a confirmation that this team is committed to maximizing the impact of your generosity. Your trust is the currency we value most, and we are committed to earning it every single day. On behalf of my fellow board members, thank you. Thank you for your partnership, Thank you for believing in this vital work. You are the engine that allows this organization to bring light to so many during their darkest times. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. We appreciate you being here tonight. As we near the end of our time together, I would like to reiterate our thanks. Tonight was our chance to show you that your trust in us is well placed and that your gifts are creating a profound, life-changing impact across the country. Our goal this evening is to express our gratitude for your partnership and to invite you to deepen your connection with our mission in ways that are meaningful to you. So, how can you partner with us? Well, first, you can consider joining us at our first ever annual Drive for a Difference X Golf tournament this September. More on that in a moment. Second, you can stay informed. We will be hosting future Donor Connect events just like this one, so please watch for our next invitation. And you can also read more stories of impact in our brand new quarterly Donor Connect newsletter. And be on the lookout for our 2024 Impact Report, which will be available shortly with more details about the stories and data that you heard about tonight. Third, you can be our ambassador. The most powerful way to grow our community is through your voice. Share our story with a friend or forward our newsletter. Interact with us on social media. Either way, your endorsement is invaluable to us. And finally, you can lend your talent. As a Minnesota 501c3 public charity, we are always seeking volunteers, sponsors, and raving advocates to support our mission. Your support is more than just financial. It's a partnership in every sense of the word, and for that, we are endlessly grateful. As I mentioned, our first annual X Golf tournament. I'm so excited to share more details about this with you tonight. It's taking place on Tuesday, September 23rd, and this isn't your typical fundraiser. It's an opportunity for our entire community, donors, coaches, board members, and supporters to connect in a fun, relaxed, family-friendly setting. It's an evening to share stories, celebrate the impact that you've made, and frankly, just have a great time together. There are numerous ways to get involved. You can either register for golf or build a team to golf. You can sponsor a bay for your company or your family, or consider sponsoring an individual coach to thank them for their service. If you're not a golfer, come join us for dinner, our incredible online auction, beanbags, and much more. Building these joyful connections is a vital part of our mission. So for more details, please visit our website, and we look forward to seeing you on the green. Your support comes in many forms, and a perfect example is that of our final speaker. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to a young woman who embodies the spirit of turning love and legacy into action. So with that, I'm going to invite Lexi Schnurr into our panelist section up top here. And she is going to share with you about her Beyond the Grief mission. So welcome, Lexi.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lexi Schnurr. I'm 16 years old from Springfield, New Jersey. I'm a rising senior at the Pingree School in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. But tonight, I'm speaking to you from my home away from home at URJ Camp Harlem in the Pocono Mountains, where I'm currently a counselor in training. To get to know me better, my hobbies include playing lacrosse and volleyball and cooking and baking. I'm also deeply involved in BBYO, the leading Jewish teen movement, where I serve on the regional board. On the surface, my life might seem like that of a typical teenager, and in many ways it is, but like so many others, I carry with me a story of deep personal loss. Tomorrow, July 23rd, marks 4 years since I lost my dad, David Schnurr, to stage 4 cancer. Losing him meant losing my best friend, my role model, and my person all at once. I was 12 years old and completely heartbroken. And at first, I felt lost and unsure of how to move forward, but over time, through the love of family, friends, and a community that held me up, I found strength, and in that strength, I found purpose. As I learned how to live with grief, I also discovered the power of helping others. Community service became more than just something I did, but it became my way of processing pain, finding connection, and making meaning out of loss. I began experimenting with small fundraising projects, and I quickly fell in love with volunteer work and advocacy. But one realization lit a spark for me, and I realized that I was incredibly fortunate to have a mother who knew how to manage our finances and guide our family through the chaos that comes with loss. Many families don't have this same safety net. Widows and widowers are often left not only grieving, but overwhelmed and unprepared, especially when it comes to finances. This realization became the foundation for my proudest achievement, Beyond the Grief Mission. Beyond the Grief Mission is a teen led initiative that raises funds and awareness for Wings for Widows. Our goal is simple but powerful to take the burden of finances off grieving families so that they can focus on healing. What makes Beyond the Grief Mission so powerful is that it's entirely run by teenagers. We're not just raising money, but we're raising awareness, stepping up for adults who have always stepped up for us. Beyond the Grief Mission has a team of 35 plus teen ambassadors that come from 8 different states and Canada. These ambassadors are organized into 3 different committees so that they can make an impact in a way that speaks best to them. The social media team manages our platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. They share highlight reels, inspirational messages, and they run Widow Relief Wednesday, which is a weekly series that offers updates, ambassador spotlights, and overall hope. For example, during Women's History Month, they featured powerful stories of female widows. They also created a video compilation where ambassadors shared why they joined our mission. The Marketing and Recruitment Committee focuses on expanding our network and attracting new ambassadors. They work closely with the Social Media Committee to create content that encourages other teens to get involved in our mission. Marketing and Recruitment ambassadors serve as point people for our new ambassadors as they reach out to each new addition to the team. And these ambassadors also write handwritten thank you cards to our donors after major fundraisers. Finally, the operations and planning team keeps our fundraisers running smoothly. They design email templates for outreach, and they set ambassadors up for success during fundraisers. They manage the logistics for online campaigns. They're the reason that our efforts are organized, efficient, and impactful. And together, these teams form the heart of Beyond the Grief Mission, a project that gives teens real leadership experience and families real support when they need it most. Since Beyond the Grief Mission's founding in February 2023, we have held many fundraising initiatives that have significantly contributed to our overall impact. Digital fundraisers such as T-shirt sale through Custom Ink and a Double Good Popcorn fundraiser have engaged our ambassadors in healthy competition while also allowing us to reach donors from across the country. In addition to digital campaigns, ambassadors themselves have run in-person fundraisers in their respective areas. Examples of these include a candy cane gram sale in Long Island, New York, which raised over $300, and a bake sale in the suburbs of Philadelphia that raised over $500. After successfully hosting all of these smaller campaigns, I decided that it was time for me to host a fundraiser that was personal to me, as it would honor Beyond the Grief Mission's driving force, my dad. Before I explain this event, you need to know one thing about my dad, and that's that he loved casinos. And as much as he loved gambling, he was always the one dealing cards for family and friends. After his cancer diagnosis, during the early days of the COVID pandemic, he decided to recreate his happy place by building a casino in our basement. And that basement became more than just a room. It was where I saw my dad pursue his passions, even during the darkest times of his life. And this inspired me to pursue my own. So when the time came to plan Beyond the Grief Mission's first ever gala, I knew exactly where I had to be. With the support of my mom and an incredible group of ambassadors, we transformed our basement into a real casino night. We brought in dealers for my dad's handcrafted blackjack, poker, and roulette tables, and we designed signature cocktails which were matched to our theme. That one night in the place that my dad built raised nearly $10,000, all of which went directly to Wings for Widows. And at the core of Beyond the Grief Mission is one single belief, that grief should come first, not financial worries. Beyond the Grief mission is about showing up for families, for each other, and for a better future where compassion and support are easy to find. Since our founding, Beyond the Grief mission has raised over $27,000 that directly supports the efforts of Wings for Widows. It is my hope that as Beyond the Grief mission grows and expands, so does our impact. Thank you all so much for supporting a mission that has not only helped widows and widowers in need, but also a mission that has helped me find myself again. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much, Lexi. You continually inspire us. Your story, your passion, and your father's legacy are an inspiration to every single one of us. You perfectly embody the spirit of this community, and we're very honored to have you as our Wings for Widows advocate and champion, as well as all of the youth ambassadors that you've recruited. So thank you so much. I believe that we received a few questions tonight, so let's maybe address those now. Chris?
I also want to say, Lexi, while you're here, just, I mean, a few years ago when we first met, I I had no doubt that you were going to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives, and you have far exceeded that expectation. And so, thank you for everything that you've done, not just for yourself and your ambassadors and your dad's legacy and Wings for Widows. It's really just a blessing to have you as part of the team. And I know you have a posse here tonight, and I know they believe in you and believe in you and your cause and your mission. And so we're just so thankful to have you all here with us tonight. So thank you. We definitely saved the best for last. So and I'm glad that the logistics at camp didn't keep you from us. So really appreciate that. Yeah, we did get a few questions in. I guess I'll take the first one. The mentioned the technology with heart model, and someone said it's really impressive. What's the next big step for Wings for Widows? How do you see the organization growing in the next few years? Well, it's a wonderful question because we think about that all the time. What do we look like a year from now, 2 years from now? And our vision really is just to ensure that no one has to navigate the final chaos of widowhood alone. For us, growth isn't just about getting bigger. It's about getting better and reaching deeper. Our next major step involves, I would say, two key areas. First, expanding our outreach to more underserved communities. Right now, it's about 25% our reach brings in those and really some struggling economically in those communities. And we need to do more in those communities, including non-English speaking populations who are often the most isolated. Second, we're focused on enhancing our educational resources with WidowWise University to provide even more specialized guidance. But I would be clear that any growth we pursue will be done carefully and sustainably, ensuring that we never lose the heart of our work, that high quality, that one of a kind, financial coaching that you saw from volunteers tonight. That's our DNA. That's the core of what we do, and continue to drive that. Continue to drive better training for our coaches and greater reach.
Awesome. Another question here, Chris, I can take this one. It says, you mentioned that you serve people in all 50 states, which is amazing. Thank you. How does someone who needs your help actually find you? Okay, well, this is a pretty critical question because being accessible at the exact moment of need is everything, as many of their matters are extremely urgent. So our website is the primary front door to all of our services, and we've learned that when people are facing this crisis, one of the first things that they do is turn to Google for help. So this year, we expect that more than 100,000 people will visit our website. And that's why a core part of our technology with Heart Strategy is ensuring that we are highly visible there. So the vast majority of people we serve, I would say around 80%, find us through a simple Google search. And that said, we are incredibly fortunate to be a recipient of Google Ad Grant dollars, which enable us to advertise our services and significantly extend our reach. So this is a perfect example, actually, of how we leverage technology to amplify our mission and to be there for those people who are actively looking for support. So I guess this strong digital presence is sort of then also supplemented by referrals, word of mouth from our partners in the community and our outreach on social media. So I would say this is a combination of both smart, targeted technology and human connection that make sure our doors are always open and easy to find.
Good response, Olivia. The next question, I guess I'll take this one. The coaches' stories were moving. What does it take to become a volunteer coach, and how do you support them? Well, thanks for asking that, because coaches, as you probably figured out, are the absolute heart of our mission. We could not do this job without them. And as first responders often are, they are truly the heroes in this story. Due to the critical nature of this work, we require that every one of our volunteer coaches is a certified financial planning professional, otherwise known as a CFP. This is the gold standard in the financial planning industry. It's ensuring that our clients receive, the best advice. It's holistic, it's ethical, and of the highest possible quality. We don't just let anyone in to sit down with a widowed person and coach them. These are all CFP credentialed professional financial advisors. So again, they're not just people with a background in finance or someone that's a financial coach, but not certified or licensed. So we're very proud of that. The application process actually begins with our national partner, the Foundation for Financial Planning, which speaks to the level of professionalism we require. We then support them with specialized training, about 4 hours right now, and then ongoing training, as well as a strong team network. We hold team meetings about 3 times a year. And then the technology and the tools that they need to do what they do best, just to help individuals and families build confidence, gain clarity, and make good decisions about their future. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chris. I see one more in the queue here. You've shared some powerful examples tonight. Is there a typical person or type of widow that you help, or do you see a wide range of situations? That's a good question. I would honestly say the truth is that the only thing typical about the people that we serve is, or the thing that they have in common is that they've all lost their spouse, right? Beyond that, I would say their situations are incredibly diverse, and every journey of recovery and renewal is unique. So to provide some context, I guess the average age of a widowed person that we see, and that we see nationwide, I guess, is age 59. So it's a bit younger than you would think. And additionally, we help both widows and widowers, men and women, from young parents in their 30s with kids at home to seniors in their 80s and everyone in between. So they come from all walks of life and all financial backgrounds. And it truly underscores that the widow crisis is a universal issue, and it is our privilege, truthfully, to tailor our support to meet each person exactly where they are today in their widowhood journey. So if that answers that question, I don't see any more in the queue, but I want to call out, see if anyone has any final questions for Lexi, specifically about her Beyond the Grief mission, or for us, if there's any last minute questions. Seeing none, I would just like to say thank you once again from the bottom of our hearts for spending the evening with us and taking time out of your Tuesday night. And with that, I wish you all a good evening. Thank you for being here.